I wanted to switch gears this week and work on mark making and seeing if any mark making grabs my attention. So out of this book, I did run across this page and I like this mark. So I ran across this page too, and I love these random, I always like a loop, but I also love like this random, just different sizes. So I thought that was cool. This is just writing. I did it with a brush and black paint, and I guess you can see it's a EFOP and something. It's just kind of scribble. But what I did it again here, but then what I did was I took a piece of paper and rubbed on it. So when I picked it up, I had this, and then these are just some marks. So I love this page. I ran across this, and I love this just on one edge. Of course, I love dots. And this is kind of interesting. It's just circles made with dots. And let's see what else I have in here. Oh, okay, I found this one, and it's just that green olive paint that I love, and looks like I just made a interesting mark with it. And then again, so I've got that mark. Here's another still life, and wouldn't that mark look cool on here? Just in that olive green, kind of a lighter green. I think that would be really cool. So here's another still life, and again, I put the little tick marks. I did that little scallop and a few stripes, and then just a line. So pattern, but worked into a still life. And I've shown this one before. I love this this mark right here. So I'm going through and getting a bunch of paper ready to do mark making on. And I was going to show you the different papers that I like. One of them is this type of paper that, like if you go to TJ Maxx and you get a plate, they would wrap it in this. It's thin. I like thinner papers for mark making because I'm going to end up using these papers for collage, and the thinner papers collage down better. So I try to not pick papers that are too thick. And then I tear it up into manageable sizes. So I would just, another paper I like are paper bags, thin paper bags. This was just a small one, and I just opened it up, and now I'm gonna tear it into some manageable pieces. Yeah, some paper bags are thicker than others, but I like the thin ones. So, and I love the color of the paper bags. So we'll be using that. Something else I like are deli papers. Let me turn it this way. You can order it on Amazon, but it's a dry wax paper. I also like napkins for mark making, but I was going to show you, napkins come in several plies, like it can be 2 or 3 plies. So what you want to do is just find it and pull it apart so that you have a single ply, because that will collage down better. You know how different restaurants have these brown napkins? I've already torn this into 1 ply, but I love this brown. It does so good with the marks on it, and then to collage down. Tissue paper. Like you can get, some people get wet strength tissue paper. They order it from Amazon. I just go to the Dollar Tree and get just tissue paper that you would use in a gift. And it's interesting. It's got a shiny side and kind of a matte side. So I use the matte side and make marks, and it collages down really easily. So there's also book paper. I'm always looking for books at the thrift store that are falling apart, like this Scrabble book. It is coming apart. In fact, some of the pages are just falling out of it. So it's going to end up going, in the recycle bin if it stays where it's at. So I grab anything that's like that, and it just makes really nice paper for making marks on. Another paper is tea bag paper. This is interesting because I drink a lot of tea, and so after I'm finished, I just clip the bags, rinse the tea grinds out, and then just let these dry. And they're really beautiful. It's a lovely paper, and yeah, with a few dots or lines on them, they look really cool collaged in. And the other thing is coffee filters. So you can get the white ones or the brown ones, and they lay out flat. Fun to make marks on, especially on the jelly plate. Put some marks on the jelly plate and pick the marks up with a coffee filter. And again, it's a nice matte paper that collages down. So notebook paper would do. This is some old notebook paper that I found when we were cleaning out the house in the mountains down in the basement. She must have stocked up on school paper, but it had been down there for who knows how long. Copy paper. Copy paper is nice and thin, and it works great. I was actually, I think, at a thrift store one time and found this stack of really old copy paper. It has a great feel to it, and it's kind of yellowed. So keep your eye open for any kind of thin paper. This is something else I found at a thrift store, an old Collamer pad. That'd be fun to make marks on. Found some old stationery one time. It's all, look at the different colors, but it's you can tell it's all weathered. Feels really good. I've got some graph paper here. Again, nice and thin. Would look good with marks on it, and then the blue graph in the background. So that's an option. Also magazine paper. It's really thin and is fun to collage down. I think like a fashion magazine would work best. I did find this solid here of sand, and it's kind of a pattern, and I could see maybe some black stripes would look good. So but I would think like fashion magazines where you have all kind of dresses and patterns and that type of thing would be fun. I mean, you could use anything, but I like looking for solids to put the marks on. And then last but not least, and by last I mean the last one I'm going over, because I'm sure there are many, many more types of papers, but I've picked out 15. And this one is pattern paper. So this is a pattern I picked up somewhere for $1.25. And it's kind of like tissue paper. It is tissue paper, but it's got these really cool lines on it in some places, not every space, but and I love the color. It's that brown. It would look, I could leave these marks and then just put like some stripes or dots, and it collages down really nice too. So like I said, I'm sure there are many more papers, but I picked out my 15 that I've got right here accessible. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a couple of pieces of each of these, and I'm gonna do mark making on them. Lots of different mark making, from using different media to using the jelly plate. So I'll have a couple of each, and we'll make some marks. Okay, so I've got my papers ready. I've got 2 of each of these, and I'm gonna start doing marks on them. So, you know, I've got 2 packing papers, 2 paper bags, and so on. So I'm excited to get started. All right, so I'm gonna start with the 2 sheets of packing paper. What I wanna do is I'm gonna use my jelly plate, yellow oxide dots on it. Just random. Just lay it down. All right, let's see what we get. All right, very simple. I love the color. I like the randomness about the way it picked it up. So I'm happy with that one. I'm gonna brayer this on. Just a thin layer. I'm gonna clean my brayer right here, because if I clean everything on this pickup sheet, it'll turn out cool also. So here's my second sheet, and I'm just gonna lay it on here. I just want a kind of a solid color. Now, again, I could paint it straight on, but sometimes I find it easier to just pick it up off the jelly plate, and you get a little bit of a different effect. All right, let's see what we get here. Okay, so I love that, and I'm gonna do something else to it, but I'm gonna dry it first. All right, so here it is. I love this look. And I'm gonna take a black Sharpie, and I'm just gonna cover it with some line work. Start here, and I'm just gonna come right off. I'm just gonna make a interesting line, and then come right off the paper. And I think I'll do another one. Let's see here. I'm trying not to, I don't want to like think about this too much. It's not, I think I'm gonna come in here and just, okay. Just a real simple pattern using a Sharpie, and I just picked up a little color on that, but I love that. All right, I've got the paper bag, and this one's gonna be pretty simple. I'm just gonna get some white on my brush, and I just wanna make some just random tick marks. Okay, the next one I'm gonna do real simple, just pink stripes on it. I like it like that, but I did dry it, and I'm just gonna put a second coat on it. All right, this is the deli paper, and there are different types of deli paper. This one seems to be kind of slick. I really like matte, really thin matte paper, but this seems to have a little bit of sheen on it, so we'll just see what it does. And I'm going to use my fine line applicator with some India ink in it. And I'm just going to make some basically scribble marks. Kind of like I'm writing, but and I noticed, because I practiced this before I did it, look, it's resisting, it's not soaking in because it's slick. But look at the dots that it's got. So I love the look of that, but I'm not sure what those dots are going to do. I guess they would dry over time, but let's see here. I mean, if they would dry like that, I would love that. Let me put a little hair dryer on it and see what it does. That's interesting. It just chased the dots around, but then look what it's doing on my pickup paper. Okay, let's turn it that way. See what we get. Woo! Okay, well, it's not staying on this particular deli paper, but it's making a very interesting pickup sheet. Huh. See, when you play, this is what you end up with, but I do love that. I'm going to have to cut this out and put it in my ideas book and write down what I did, because that's interesting. All right, so here's that piece of deli paper, and this is what I ended up with. And I do like it. I mean, it's a very subtle piece, but I could see that working somewhere. But I'm going to try to hold it up. It ended up with a lot of little dots in like a very light gray pattern. But I think I'm going to do something a little bolder on top. I'm going to take my little mop brush, get some dark black, and I'm going to make, I like these U shapes, so I'm just going to make some of these. And this is with acrylic paint. So I'm going to make random marks. It's still trying to bead up, so I'm going to put a second coat. See if I can get this to stick. This one did pretty good. Let's see, I like that. I think I'll put another coat there. I like that. Put a second coat there. All right, I'll just keep adding until, okay, I like the way that looks. This is saran wrap. I just want to take a little bit of that. Okay, yeah, I like that better. Okay, I like that. I'm going to dry it and see if it actually will stay on. Okay, so I dried it and it looks like it's dried and gonna stay on there, and I love that mark. I like the way you can still see some of the background and that the paint has variations in it. I had to pop in right here and show you how this piece dried. You know, I did this writing and I had all those little dots, And I said, I wonder how that would dry, but it didn't look like it would ever dry because it was just beaded dots. But look how it dried. It is it's beautiful. So yeah, that was the fine liner on the deli paper. And if I just leave it long enough, it dries really cool. I love all those dots in there. Okay, for the next piece of deli paper, I'm going to do something real simple on the jelly plate. I've just put some teal on there, and I'm going to roll this out. I'm going to grab my little mop brush, and I'm going to dry it. And I'm just going to pull some marks off that I like, just some of these random lines. I'm going to lay that down and just give it a good rub. All right, let's see what we get here. So the cool thing about a piece like this is I most likely am not going to use the whole piece. When I use this, I will probably tear it and end up with like just a piece of it. So that's why any mark that you come up with has the potential to really fit into something and make it super interesting. The next thing we're going to use are napkins. And I have separated these into 1 ply. So they're very thin and delicate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a mark on the jelly plate. I'm going to lay this down, pat it, and pick it up quickly. So I'm just going to put that on there. I'm going to lay this down, pat it, and pull it up. So the thing about having just a simple shape on a napkin is that if you need a touch of black in a painting and you collage this on, everything disappears but that black circle. Okay, for the brown napkin, I'm going to do something very similar. I'm just going to do a different shape. A lot of times I just want black stripes in something. So let's just do one of these. Again, I'm just going to lay it down really quickly. All right, now we're going to use tissue paper. I've picked out one of my favorite stencils. This is from Stencil Girl Products. The first thing I'm going to do is just lay it down on my jelly plate just to hold it. And then I'm going to take a piece of tissue paper. And this is a Derwent Inktense block in just like a brownish red. And I'm just going to run it over my stencil like this. And just pick up that pattern. All right, I'm going to pick that up. And look what I end up with. Isn't that beautiful? It's so subtle. All right, this time I've got some green, olive green on my jelly plate. I'm going to roll that out. Going to set the stencil on. I am going to use a bigger piece of tissue paper to pick that up. So that pulls that print like that. But what I really want on the one we're working on is I want this ghost print. So I pulled the stencil off, and now this is what I want to really pick up. Let's see what we get. Just like the napkin, the tissue paper is fragile. You can get wet strength tissue, and I think it's stronger, but I just get my tissue from the dollar store. So sometimes if I leave it on here too long, it'll start to tear apart. But see, just like that. But let's see if I can get this off. Go from this side. Oops. Yeah, it's fragile, but I'm gonna slowly, I think I just caught it in time. So yeah, I really like getting the ghost print, which is this second pull after you've taken the stencil off. So while we're on tissue paper, earlier in this video, I showed you this vase that I had done. And I showed you this mark that I thought would look good on it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create that on tissue paper and show you what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to set my tissue paper here, and I'm going to wet a brush and just barely touch the tissue paper. That makes it easy to tear. And so I know I want my that shape to be about that size. Okay. I'm going to set the tissue paper on the jelly plate just because it kind of sucks down and holds it. That is just a really random mark, so I need to try to just do it real loose. So I'm going to get quite a bit of paint on my brush, and it looks like, it's not going to be the exact mark, but it looks like it was sort of like something like that. Can wet this and just tear this piece out. A little fiddly. All right, there it is. So I love a subtle green on green, and that was inspired by a random mark I made. So I somewhat recreated it and then collaged it on, and I thought it needed a little on the neck, so I just grabbed another little piece. But that's how I like to use mark making. So I love the whole process of mark making, but then I like to use it in something. So I added a little more collage and then I stopped there. All right, so we got through 5 of the different papers. We did the packing paper. We did the paper bags. Deli paper. Napkins. And tissue paper. So I enjoyed that. What really becomes fun when you start putting some of these together. They can really look cool together. So I'm going to wrap that up for this week because I'm already past 30 minutes. And I'm going to try to do the other 10 papers next time. So I really appreciate you watching. And I'll see you later.